Happy Thursday, everybody. Once upon a time I went running barefoot, and I think that's a little unusual. I blamed this kid named Mason. Mason is a great guy. He's a good friend of mine. And Mason has some quirky things that he likes. Among those things is running barefoot. Now, there's other things that I've learned from Mason that I've really enjoyed. For example, once upon a time, he taught me how to play bridge. And bridge is a lot of fun. He also introduced me to clam diggers, which I kind of liked, but no, not really. And he introduced me to the idea of running barefoot, which struck me as odd at first. But I decided to hear him out and ask him what that was like. So he makes a really good sales pitch, actually. He talks about how, well, running can be fun, right? Okay, some people like running, endorphins and whatnot. And he talks about when you're running barefoot, it's a much more natural feeling because we didn't originally have shoes at the beginning of our story as humans. And so he talks about how it's like adrenaline or something, that it's just exciting to run barefoot. It's a great feeling. And I thought, well, that sounds intriguing. I'll try it out. So one day I wake up in the morning, and this is at a time in my life when I work swing shift. So I have like the whole morning up until 3 o'clock in the afternoon is when my shift starts. So I go for a nice run in the late morning. At this point, I live in a studio that's right next to this wonderful little bike trail. It's just a continuous thing of asphalt that goes on for miles. And in general, there's not gravel, there's not debris or anything. It's fairly well kept. And that's where I decided to go. Now, as any honest runner will tell you, to go for a good run requires a degree of masochism, or at the best self-denial. That is to say, there's always a point in a run, at least for me, when you start getting tired and things start hurting. And the key is to either enjoy that feeling because you're making progress or something, or deny it exists. I usually choose the second because I'm not a true masochist. Thank you very much. Now, that usually has to do with I have a stitch in my side or my legs are getting tired. In this case, my feet started to hurt. I'm running barefoot and I'm not used to going around barefoot. But I'm in my running zone, so I deny that exists and I say, I'll just push through. I can keep going. I know I can. And I could, so I kept going. Further and further from home. And I feel really good. There's something true to Mason talking about how, like the adrenaline or endorphins or something magical is going on when you're running barefoot. But I have my limits. And I reached my limits about 2 miles away from home. And I stopped and I said, okay, I'm done. Now it's time to go home. But of course, when I chose to stop, I was still 2 miles away from home. And I thought to myself, there probably was a better way to plan this out. But oh well, no matter. I'll just continue to push through this pain, and I'll start running home. It'll be a little bit harder, but I can do it. So I start running home. Or is it really running anymore? I got slower and slower as my feet hurt more and more. Because of course, at this point, it wasn't just a question of, muscle fatigue or tiredness. My feet were starting to wear away on the asphalt. Because my feet do not know how to run on asphalt. They're not used to that. They don't grow like that. I dare not look at my feet because if I see what's going on down there, of course it's going to start hurting more. But it already is hurting quite a bit. Every step at this point becomes a wince. And even though there's no gravel on the asphalt trail itself, either side of the trail is gravel. And after the gravel is prickly, long grass. So I'm stuck on the asphalt. Also, you know how I went running in the late morning? That means it's getting hotter and the black asphalt is sucking up more and more sun. But asphalt isn't selfish. Of course, all this heat energy that it's soaking up, it's willing to share with me through my blistering feet. Oh, that was... I definitely felt things. So, a long 2 miles later, I finally make it home. Now, as I said, this is before my shift at work. I still haven't put in my 8 hours of work that day. I still haven't made myself a lunch for work that day. So I need to make something. And I was going to make some macaroni and cheese on the stove, but my feet are done. They are so done that they flat out refuse to let me stand at all, including in front of the stove. So I am on all fours in my studio. And I crawl over and I grab a chair from one part of my studio and I bring it over and I plop it in front of the stove. And then I climb up onto it and I kneel on the chair so that I can stir my macaroni and cheese. Which, by the way, tastes really good if you add in like roasted tomatoes and cubed chicken. Just cube up the chicken and fry it in a pan on the stovetop and then throw some cherry tomatoes in there and then throw it all into your macaroni and cheese. It's so good. So I'm working on this. I finished that. Somehow I take a shower. At long last, everything's together. I am beat, I am sore, I am tired, and I am ready to start my day of work. So I went to work, and I did everything I could to make sure I was sitting down for as much of the day as possible. And eventually my coworkers noticed, and they asked about it, and they said, what happened? And I said, oh, I kind of ran barefoot for a couple miles, and my feet hurt. And then they all made fun of me, and we all became closer friends. But that's the moral of the story. If you want friends, just offer yourself up to be made fun of. It's a great life. And that is the story of me running barefoot. There you have it. Alright. Take care. God bless and ciao. Special shout out for this lady, Alessandra Bechner, who commented on a video a couple weeks ago. I think she normally goes by Ali. I met her while I was doing some youth ministry work up in Wisconsin. And there was just this great group of youth at this church called St. Mary's in the area that I was living in. I only went to help out like half a dozen times. But one thing that was very handy about this group is that like a third of the girls were named Ali. So for someone who is not good with names, that helped. But anyways, that's all I got. I don't really have much more to say than that. But I hope you all have fun. God bless you. Bye-bye.